Second, the owners of the historic corporations were liable for the corporation's debt. To illustrate, if the Hudson's Bay Company had gone bankrupt in the 18th century, then its creditors could obtain repayment by seizing the wealth of its stockholders. Given unlimited liability of investors in a company for its debts, people who invest must carefully monitor and control the company's policies. In contrast, the owners of modern corporations are not liable for the corporation's debts. To illustrate, if an airline goes bankrupt, its creditors can liquidate assets, but the creditors cannot seize the homes, cars, or bank accounts of its stockholders. As a result of limited liability, people who invest in stock run the risk of losing their investment and nothing more. Limited liability allows people to invest in a company without monitoring or controlling the company's policies so thoroughly. Limited liability is an aspect of the more general problem of separating the assets of a company from the assets of its owners and managers. Limited liability prevents the creditors of the company from reaching the personal assets of the company's owners. An equally important body of law prevents the creditors of the owners from reaching the assets of the company. Separating the assets is called partitioning, and not separating the assets is called commingling. Modern corporate law partitions the assets of corporations and their owners, whereas the law historically commingled them. Limited liability has created a situation commonly described as the separation of ownership from control. This phrase refers to the fact that many stockholders in large companies sold on public stock exchanges do little monitoring of it and have no control over it. Sometimes a small number of large investors monitor and control the corporation. How often, however, none of the owners exercises control over the corporation. Instead, control over the corporation rests with its management. Most investors want to make money, so they want the managers to maximize profits. The managers, however, have their own goals to pursue. A vigorous market for corporations can prevent managers from pursuing goals other than maximizing the company's profits. In general, the stock market bids up the price of a company's stock until it equals the sum of the company's expected future earnings discounted to the present value. If managers fail to maximize the company's profits, then the expected future earnings of the company fall and its stock price declines. Under these circumstances, an outsider may attempt to buy the company and replace its management. As this theory predicts, econometric evidence demonstrates that the stock price of firms rise and remains higher as a consequence of a successful hostile takeover. So the new managers must make the acquired firm more profitable. Foreseeing the possibility of a hostile takeover helps to prevent managers from departing very far from the goal of maximizing the company's profits. Conversely, a thin market for corporations makes hostile takeovers unlikely, so managers can pursue other goals than profits. In recent years, much scholarship and research on corporations concerns how the law ameliorates or exacerbates problems created by the separation of ownership from control. For example, managers employ various contractual devices to reduce the possibility that someone will buy the company and bring in new managers. For example, poison pill, golden parachute, lockups, and non-voting shares of stock. Also, managers have succeeded in persuading legislators to enact statutes to reduce the effectiveness of the market for corporate control, notably the Williams Act.